possible. But perhaps we could start, Bishop Esther. Could you just talk a little bit about your background in Southern Africa and becoming a Christian, and just so the people watching know a little bit about you and your early life, as it were.
Brilliant. Thank you. Firstly, just to say what a joy it is to join you. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person because I think I really want you as a constituency to hear that I want to stand with you. So this is a privilege to be able to do this. A little bit about me. I was born in Malawi. I grew up in Zimbabwe, not in a Christian home. But while at university, I had Christian friends who invited me to things. So I am really, really, really passionate about invitation. The whole of my first year, I said no. The whole of my second year, I said no. And then finally, at the start of my final year, I said yes. And I encountered Jesus, and my life was changed forever, really. Uh, and that began a long journey that landed me on the shores of England, having left Africa for the first time in 1999. And I went to Trinity College in Bristol to study theology. And in some ways, the rest is history, as they say.
And what would your vision for the Church of England be? Someone who's sort of come into it 25 years ago, whatever it was. What would be your vision for the Church of England now? What would you like to see the Church of England do?
Gosh, that's a very good question, almost impossible to answer, really. So I'm interested to see where my brain went with that. I think I want us to lead with humility and courage. Um, we've been broken by bad processes, bad relationships, and I wonder if humility and courage may be part of what will heal us in terms of what we bring to the table. So there's that. But ultimately, I think real confidence in the gospel is what we need in every generation. And, even the skeptics among us are wondering if the rumors of the quiet revival might actually be happening. And if God is stirring Gen Z, as the Americans say, I want the Church of England to be front-footed in joining in with that, asking what does it look like for us to be facing this generation that God seems to be favoring at the moment. So initial thoughts, yeah.
Great. Bishop Paul, how do you see the Church of England attracting this new generation? We read about more young people coming to church, Eastertide and so forth, and even more young men, which is unusual, coming to church.
Yes.
How do you see the future, Bishop Paul?
Well, the young man is often a biblical motif, isn't it? In my experience across the parishes that I serve, there is a uniform pattern of renewal and revival taking place. That young people are presenting themselves for the sacraments of initiation, are coming with searching questions of a theological, moral, ethical, spiritual nature. And so we are listening to knocking on the door. It's our task to open the door with courage and confidence. And I resonate very much with Bishop Esther's comment about confidence. And the Catholic movement has suffered, for various reasons that don't need to be rehearsed now, has suffered from a lack of confidence. Its stuffing has been taken out of it for one reason or another. And it has succumbed, like many movements within the Church of England, to division and so forth. So I have a very strong sense, a very lively sense, that a new way of being a Catholic Christian in the Church of England is emerging for us, whereby we recover not only our confidence, but our unity, and also a sense of our partnership with evangelical Christians in many, many, many areas of common concern and common witness. So I think very much the ball is in our court, and we need to play it with vigor and with joy, and we need to be able to communicate the gospel in compelling and converting ways. And as Catholic Christians, we have an immense wellspring of life, witness, and continuity to draw on.
Mm.
So very much we must step up and step on.
Yeah. And as someone on the outside looking in, one of the things that you bring is visibility, if I can put it like that. And when people are searching, if they can see something visible that points them to the invisible,
Yes, yes.
that can be really helpful. And
Very
so
much
I
so.
think as Catholics, that can be the space that you occupy with greater confidence.
Absolutely so.
Um, Sorry, Bishop.
I was one of the challenges, of course, we are facing is that as we regain, I think, a strong and distinctive sense of our place as Catholic Christians, living out our vocation and discipleship within the Church of England for the sake of the whole Church, not just for the sake of ourselves. We're also being met at this particular time with a degree of hostility almost in some quarters from those who wish to revisit or review, which are usually shorthand terms for repeal, the settlement around sacramental ministry that gives a Catholic Christian the real confidence to be a Catholic Christian in the Church of England. And I'd be fascinated to hear your thoughts on that, because it's something that we're trying to navigate with skill and grace. We don't want to be distracted from the call to be Christ's disciples in the church. We don't want to become endlessly caught up with internal and technical arguments. We felt that we've addressed those, settled the matter, and moved on in a spirit of fraternal love and peace with everyone. But we are being drawn back somewhat reluctantly into those arguments. I'd be fascinated to know what your thoughts are on the whole House of Bishops declaration and 5 guiding principles question that's being raised now quite vocally by some.
Yeah, thank you. I want to bring a word of encouragement and then one of challenge, if I may. And the word of encouragement is I am passionately for the 5 guiding principles, and that's why I'm here. I think the 2014 settlement worked really hard at acknowledging our differences and creating space for Catholic expression of ministry. I hope to flourish within the structures of the Church of England. And for me, sometimes I find it helpful to boil it down to a real person. And do I want a Church of England without Philip North or Bishop Martin of Chichester or yourself? Yourselves, Tom, I've only just met you, but do I want
Thank you.
Church of England without you? And my answer would be no, actually. I think we would be the poorer for it. And obviously, I disagree with your position. Otherwise, I wouldn't be, an ordained bishop in the Church of England. But your position shouldn't diminish mine. I think I should be able to enter into this space, allowing space for you to flourish alongside me in difference. So I couldn't be more committed to the 2014 settlement. So that's my word of encouragement and to say, if you ever need me to stand with you, literally, physically, I will. as a show of solidarity and commitment. The challenge is, I say to some of the people who hold convictions that I hold in other controversial issues, let's leave it there, that let our conviction be the only offense. You know, sometimes the fact that you hold a certain view will offend people, no matter how gently or lovingly you hold it. And there's nothing you can do about that, because I'm convinced it's a view you have thought through, prayed through, and that's your conviction. There's nothing you can do about that. But let that be the only offense. And I think sometimes we hold our conviction and then use it as a weapon against others, or use it to exclude, or use it as an excuse for rudeness. And so I want to say to, you know, your constituency, be known for your love. You know, I love St. Paul saying, let your gentleness be known to all, the Lord is near. So, yes, you can't accept my orders, but I should never, ever have an encounter with a society priest that leaves me feeling like you were unkind or unloving beyond your conviction. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes, very powerfully so. Very powerfully. We find ourselves, and many people watching this video now on Saturday at St. Albans, Holborn, will have in their minds a degree of anxiety and concern about the wider scene, about certain tactics and strategies that are being used to try to undermine the House of Bishops declaration. And what word might you have to those who are sitting there feeling a little uncertain about the future?
I think all round, the Church of England is a difficult place at the moment. So I don't want to underplay how different people, for different reasons, might be feeling insecure or frightened, or, you know, so I understand that you might be feeling like that. I guess I would say gather around you people who are different, but who become your friends and companions on the journey. Interestingly, my brain just went back to a situation in Zimbabwe just before I left, when the farm invasions had just started happening. And I remember saying to my white friends, if all the Black people around you are just your servants, and that colors your view of people, isn't it? If the only people you see, Zimbabwe will become increasingly difficult to be a white person in. I remember saying that in 1998, I think it was. And I think the Church of England might become a harder place to be Catholic if you don't have non-Catholic friends.
And we have
So,
found the alliance to be a very useful route to people of
yeah,
common faith, and
yeah,
a strong emphasis on one holy Catholic and apostolic
yeah,
church. And I think that is a good route, among others,
yeah,
to
yeah,
express that.
yeah. So I think one of the things about trouble of any kind is that in God's economy, He will always use it for good. And I wonder if this trouble God might use to break us out of our tribes and, you know, walk together better and not in isolation and not in silos. So I don't know if that's hugely encouraging. I don't want, I want to be realistic, but I think there's something about walking alongside others who disagree with you, but want you to be around,
Yeah.
that will make, the days ahead easier to bear.
And as somebody who is very familiar with the General Synod, and you've been a powerful and highly articulate member of the Synod, do you see or think that there would be an appetite to address and effectively repeal the House of Bishops declaration? Do you think, what is the mood abroad in the General Synod? Do you think, so obviously there's a Catholic group on Synod which seeks to articulate the Catholic voice in common decision making of the Church. But from your perspective, do you think there is an appetite to address this at a political as well as a theological level?
I'm going to be extremely cowardly and
That's
hide
very
behind the
unlike you.
fact hide behind the fact that I'm not on General Synod anymore. It's hard to say, because if there was a PPM, could it get 100 votes? Possible. I think General Synod is so unpredictable. But I would be surprised if there was a 2/3 majority in this.
That's what I hear others say, that there isn't an
Yeah.
appetite to address this. There isn't actually a compelling need to address it, because very often and in fact, in most instances, the House of Bishops declaration works incredibly well, and it is monitored well, and it is lived out well. There will always be examples, perhaps, where that's not the case, but they are in a minority. So most
Um,
people, when they share their thoughts with me, say that
yeah,
actually most people recognize that this works very well.
yeah. So you notice I didn't quite go as far as you, Bishop Paul, because I, I think it's important to hear that there is appetite for some people.
Mhm.
And for some people, it's coming from a place of pain and some examples of not being treated well, I guess. So back to my challenge at the beginning, I think if not just on this issue, but if all of us were shaped by love, that sounds like an obvious thing to say, and yet it's so foundational, isn't it, to the commandments? Love the Lord your God, love your neighbor as yourself. On this hangs all the law and the prophets. And what does it mean? What does it actually look like to love one another? And as I have tried to navigate a path through the LLF troubles, for example, I have found 1 Corinthians 13 really, really helpful, because it's so practical. And I try to ask myself with each encounter, no matter who it is, am I patient? Am I kind? Am I long-suffering? Etc., etc. So when people leave your presence, are they leaving having encountered that 1 Corinthians shaped love or not? So I think we get out of our silos, we become really intentional about loving one another, and then trust God to do the rest.
Thank you.
Yeah.